welcome my team to another episode of I May Be Wrong, but I doubt it. This is your host, Jacko, as per usual. Alright, so today's podcast is about the GOAT debate. Is there such thing as a GOAT? And how do you measure a GOAT? Now, when we say GOAT, we refer to greatest of all time. And this is not limited to just sports alone. It can be used for music, any thing where there's some greatness involved. We can actually measure it. Now, when we look at greatness, most times when people talk about the GOAT, it's more or less 1 to 3 persons in this competition. So what we tend to do now, we tend to look at each person's resume and what they have achieved and determine, is this person worthy of being called a GOAT? Now, of course, this video won't necessarily appeal to like fanboys, because some people, irrespective of what information they present, they won't really change or look at it from a different light. They might just like a player because they played for the team in the past, they like them hairstyle, they like them Instagram followers. There are different reasons, but this is a breakdown, an objective breakdown of how do you measure or you look at greatness. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is, and we're going to kind of explain that there's a difference between being great and being better. Right? I always say to people that better is more subjective and greatness is more objective. You can actually measure greatness, but when it comes to who's better, most times it comes down to who you like, style of play and so forth, from a sporting standpoint. I give you an example, and this is different. Prince, to most musicians, is considered a better musician than Michael Jackson as it relates to writing music, playing different instruments and so forth. But I don't think most people dispute that Michael Jackson is a greater musician than Prince. I may be biased on this one, but that's the example I chose. Now, let's look and see, how do we measure greatness? The first criteria we look at is accolades. What did these players achieve in their career? Accolades meaning leading goal scorer, MVPs, Rookie of the Year, and so forth. Leading goal scorers. These are the things we look at. How many of these things these people achieve? The next thing we're going to look at is stats. Now, here's the tricky part about stats now. Because we're looking at players that span different eras, as you know, technology change, rules change. So we can't just look at it through just a black and white lens. We have to go more in depth as it relates to stats. Now, I'll give you an example. Carl Lewis, Jesse Owens, at their peak in their time, they were considered the best sprinter in their time. So they were great athletes. But if you were to measure them based on their best time, high school students now running that time, does that take away from them greatness? No, it doesn't. I can use another reference, basketball. A particular era might be playing basketball a faster way, different rules, and you're comparing 2 players, both of each score 25 points. No, all 25 points is not the same. So 25 points in one era might be a top 5 scorer in the league, while 25 points in a different era might not crack the top 20. And as I always say, if everybody's doing it, it can't be hard. So we have to look at stats a little bit more objectively than that. The next criteria we'll look at is length of peak. How long did these players stay at a high level and achieve greatness? We have seen several players come about that achieve high level. One player comes to mind is Ronaldinho. I think Ronaldinho had one of the best 2 years of football I've ever seen. Dominated football, win everything. He touched all the right button, but that peak was just too short. So when I'm to measure him amongst the other greats, he just wouldn't stand up. You understand? So the length at how long did this person perform at a high level has to take some point in this. Another thing is impact on winning. Now, again, our win is not the same. You may be on a winning team, but how did you impact the win is not that high. Again, I'll give you an example. Robert Horry has 7 rings, 7-0 in the finals. And even though nobody would dispute that he actually contributed to winning those 7 rings, he wasn't the main driver. He wasn't on the scouting report. Look, you're going to stop Robert Horry. You understand? So even though he wins 7 rings, he wouldn't be considered in the GOAT debate. Nowhere for him. Right? So your impact on it, how did you contribute to winning, would be a big factor in terms of how we value in terms of greatness. The next thing is moments. How much time did you come up when your team needed you? Did you shrink when the light was brightest? Did you make the right play to avoid taking responsibility? These are the things that we look at. How many times that you pull a rabbit out of the hat? How much time teams gave up on you and you pulled out, snatch victory from the hands of defeat? These are the things that we look at that relates to greatness. And lastly, and I think one of the higher points is the eye test. When we're watching you, how did you make you feel? Did you want us to pick up a ball? Did you, when we watch it, say like, wow, did you see that? How much time after 10, 15 years people still talking about a particular play you did? I think that always struck me kind of strange to me, that I know players that have a particular players as their GOAT. But when playing the sport, they don't play anything like them. And I always find that so crazy, because I'm like, if I have this person as my GOAT, I want to emulate them. So I will try to pattern my game on them. And the next thing, and the flip side to that, I know players that the way they idolize certain players, they do exactly like them. They play like them, they chew the gum like them. So for me, when you looking at a player and you say, look here, this person is my GOAT, or this person is the GOAT, you should, in my estimate, want to be like them. In an ideal world, if you could switch, you'd want to be them. How they play the game make you want to play this. Is the reason make you want to play the game, or play the instrument, or whatever facets of life that you deem as the GOAT. So again, we'll go walk through again the criteria that we're looking at: accolades, stats, length of peak, impact on winning, moments, and of course the eye test. I promise you this much: if you should use these criteria and look at them from an objective lens, and you should evaluate the players that you have in your GOAT list, trust me, if you be objective, you'll come up as a real GOAT. Alright, this is it for me for this week. Again, people, subscribe, share, comment. They'll be much appreciated. Have a good one. Big up yourself.